There is a kind of strength that doesn't shout, doesn't post, doesn't seek validation. It lives in silence, it grows in solitude, and my dear, that strength is born the moment you learn to be alone and not feel lonely. People fear being alone because they think it means emptiness, but solitude isn't empty, it's full of your own voice, your own truth, your own power waiting to be discovered. Alone doesn't mean lonely. You see, the world has confused solitude with sadness. We live in an age where people think being surrounded by a crowd equals happiness, and being by yourself equals emptiness. But that's a lie society sold to you, so you never learn how powerful you can be when you stand on your own. There's a difference between loneliness and solitude. One drains you, the other builds you. Loneliness is the ache of missing someone else's presence. Solitude is the peace of finally feeling your own. When you start spending time alone, you begin to meet the person you truly are, not the one people told you to be. You begin to hear your own voice beneath the noise of the world. That's when you realize maybe it's not the crowd that makes you alive. Maybe it's your own heart finally getting the space to speak. Think about it. How many times have you laughed in a room full of people and still felt unseen? How many times have you posted a smiling picture but felt empty inside? Being around people doesn't always mean connection. Sometimes it's the loneliest place to be. There's a kind of loneliness that comes even when you're surrounded by friends. Because loneliness isn't about physical absence. It's about emotional distance. You can sit next to someone every day and still feel like they don't see the real you, but when you sit by yourself in silence, you start to reconnect with the parts of you that you've ignored for too long, the parts that say, I miss my peace, or I'm tired of pretending. Those whispers are your soul asking for your attention. When you embrace solitude, you stop chasing temporary company and start building permanent peace. You learn that your own energy can be enough, that you can take yourself out for coffee and not need anyone to make the moment feel special. That you can walk by the sea, breathe in the air, and realize the beauty around you has been waiting for your notice all along. You begin to understand that joy doesn't always need a witness. Sometimes joy is personal, private, sacred. People often say, I hate being alone, but have you ever asked why? Maybe it's because silence forces you to face your thoughts, your regrets, your fears, and that's uncomfortable. It's easier to drown your inner voice with noise than to sit with it and listen. But growth happens in those quiet hours. You can't heal in chaos. You can't discover your purpose while running away from yourself. The truth is, you can only transform in stillness. Think of a caterpillar. Before it becomes a butterfly, it isolates itself inside a cocoon. It doesn't complain about being alone. It doesn't resist the silence. It lets the quiet do its work. That's how transformation happens. Solitude isn't your punishment, it's your metamorphosis. You are evolving, even when it looks like nothing is happening. In our world today, everyone is chasing connection through screens, likes, comments, messages. But digital noise can't replace soulful connection. You can have 1,000 followers and still feel forgotten. That's because the one person you truly need to connect with is you. When was the last time you checked in with yourself? When was the last time you sat with your own mind without music, without scrolling, without distraction? That's where power lives, in stillness. You know what's beautiful? When someone walks into a cafe alone, sits confidently, orders their coffee, reads a book and smiles at their own company, that's not loneliness, that's self-assurance, that's freedom. Because when you no longer depend on people to fill your emptiness, you become untouchable. You stop settling for half-hearted friendships, one-sided love or validation that fades. You learn that being alone is better than being surrounded by people who make you feel invisible. Let me tell you something powerful. Solitude teaches you what peace feels like, and once you've tasted that peace, chaos becomes unbearable. You start to protect your time like it's gold. You stop answering every call, you stop explaining your silence, and you stop apologizing for choosing yourself, because you finally understand that solitude isn't lack, it's luxury. Think about nature. The tallest trees stand alone. The stars shine brightest in the darkest skies. The ocean moves endlessly without needing applause. Everything powerful in nature knows how to exist alone, yet it never loses its beauty. Why should you? The same divine energy that moves the waves lives inside you. You were never meant to depend on the crowd to define your worth. Maybe you're in a season of isolation right now. Maybe your friends have changed, your circle has shrunk, or life feels quiet. Don't rush to fill that silence. Sit with it. That silence is sacred. It's preparing you, cleansing you, sharpening you. When you come out of it, you'll speak differently, move differently, love differently, because solitude doesn't break you. It builds you into someone unshakable. You'll realize that when you can stand alone, you can handle anything. You'll no longer fear people leaving because you've already learned how to be whole by yourself. You'll no longer chase approval because your own reflection becomes enough validation. You'll find peace in places where you once found pain. And one day, people will look at you and wonder how you became so calm, so strong, so sure. But you'll know it's because you stopped running from solitude and started walking with it. You learned that being alone isn't the absence of love, it's the discovery of self-love. You learned that solitude doesn't shrink you, it awakens you. And once you experience that awakening, you'll never fear silence again, because silence will no longer mean emptiness. It will mean freedom. Solitude builds the soul. It's not just a phrase. It's a truth written in the quiet corners of every great story. The strongest souls weren't built in the crowd. They were shaped in silence, away from applause, away from noise, away from the constant pull of other people's opinions. When life forces you to sit alone, it isn't punishing you. It's preparing you. Because in that stillness, something starts to shift. Your thoughts become clearer, your emotions settle, and your heart starts speaking a language you had forgotten to hear. Solitude is not an absence of life. It's where life begins to speak to you. Think about it. When was the last time you sat alone and truly listened to yourself? Not to your fears, not to your doubts, but to that small voice inside that says, I want more from this life. We often fill our days with noise because silence can be uncomfortable. But that discomfort is the beginning of discovery. It's in those moments when you finally stop running that your soul starts building itself piece by piece. The woman who learns to sit with her thoughts is the woman who learns to master her destiny. In solitude, you start to see who you are beyond titles, relationships, and expectations. You strip away the masks. You take off the armor you wear every day just to survive the world's opinions. You stand there bare and real and meet yourself for the first time without judgment, without pretending. That's when your soul begins to breathe. People spend their whole lives trying to be seen by others, but solitude teaches you how to see yourself. That's where confidence is born. Not in the eyes of the crowd, but in the quiet acceptance of your own reflection. Imagine an artist in front of a blank canvas. The world might see emptiness, but the artist sees potential. The first stroke of color, the first idea, the first spark, all of it comes in silence. In the same way your soul is a canvas, solitude gives you the space to create your own masterpiece, to define your colors, your shapes, your patterns, without anyone telling you what's right or wrong. When you are alone, you stop performing and start transforming. Every great transformation begins in isolation. A seed has to be buried in darkness before it blooms into light. A diamond forms under pressure, hidden deep beneath the surface. Even a storm must gather in silence before it shakes the sky. So why do you fear your own silence? The truth is, solitude is not a void. It's a workshop where your spirit is being rebuilt. You might not see it, but the quiet is shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, more centered. Look at the people who seem unshakable. The ones who walk with calmness, even when life trembles around them. That kind of peace doesn't come from noise. It comes from time spent alone. It comes from nights of reflection, mornings of meditation, afternoons of quiet thought. It comes from those moments when you learn to be your own comfort. Solitude teaches you emotional independence. It teaches you how to rely on your inner strength instead of external validation. When you build your soul in silence, no one can break it with words. In daily life, we chase distractions, we scroll endlessly, we surround ourselves with people, we fill every empty moment with something, because being alone feels strange. But have you noticed that the moments when you get your best ideas, your deepest insights, your most honest clarity are always when you're alone? Maybe in the shower, maybe during a walk, maybe while driving, when the world's noise fades and your own thoughts rise. That's your soul speaking. And the more you listen, the more direction you find. Solitude also teaches gratitude. When you are constantly surrounded by people, you forget to notice the small things, the sound of rain, the taste of coffee, the beauty of morning light. But when you slow down and sit with yourself, those little things begin to matter again. You realize how rich life already is. Gratitude starts to grow in silence because you're no longer rushing. You're simply being, and being present is where joy begins. There's power in choosing solitude. It's not about running away from people. It's about coming home to yourself. When you sit alone and reflect, you start recognizing what you truly need and what you've been merely tolerating. You start to understand which friendships are draining you and which ones are helping you grow. You learn that not everyone who stands beside you is standing for you. Solitude gives you the wisdom to see the truth clearly and the strength to walk away peacefully. Think of those moments when life falls apart, heartbreak, loss, disappointment. People will comfort you, yes, but eventually everyone leaves and it's just you and your thoughts. That's where the rebuilding begins. It's in those lonely nights when you cry, write, pray, or simply sit in silence that your soul starts to grow new roots. Pain feels unbearable at first, but solitude transforms pain into wisdom. It teaches you resilience. It teaches you how to fall apart gracefully and rise with purpose. Solitude also reconnects you to the divine, to something higher than yourself. When the world becomes too loud, you can't hear the whispers of guidance meant for you, but in silence, you feel that connection again, that invisible hand that reminds you you're not truly alone. You start to trust your intuition more because your soul and the universe finally have room to speak the same language. In your solitude, you learn that peace is not found in the noise of others, but in the alignment of your heart and your mind. You learn that your worth isn't determined by who texts you, who loves you, or who applauds you. It's determined by the depth of your relationship with yourself. Solitude builds that relationship, strong, sacred, and unbreakable. It's where you learn to say, I am enough, even when it's just me. So the next time you find yourself alone, don't rush to escape it. Don't fill the silence with distractions. Sit with it. Because solitude isn't the absence of life. It's the birthplace of your soul's awakening. It's where your purpose takes shape, your strength finds roots, and your spirit learns to fly. The world distracts, silence directs. Every day the world pulls you in 1,000 directions. Notifications, opinions, judgments, expectations. You wake up and before you even take your first breath of peace, you're already caught in a storm of noise. Messages blinking, people talking, goals rushing, chaos rising. The world teaches you to move faster, to do more, to keep running, but it never teaches you to stop and listen. Yet everything you're searching for, peace, purpose, clarity, healing, is waiting in the one place you rarely visit, silence. The world distracts, but silence always directs you home. We live in a time where distraction is disguised as progress. You're constantly connected but rarely present. You scroll through hundreds of lives but forget to live your own. You're busy chasing, comparing, consuming, and in that race you lose connection with your inner compass. Silence is that compass. When the noise stops, direction appears, but most people never find it because they're afraid of quiet. They're afraid of what they might hear when everything else goes silent. Yet silence is not empty. It's full of answers. Think about your day. How often do you pause just to breathe, just to listen to your own thoughts? Probably never. You wake up, grab your phone, read messages that set your mood, scroll through social media that shapes your self-worth, rush through the day trying to meet standards that were never yours to begin with. At night you wonder why your mind feels heavy, why you feel lost, why peace seems far away. It's because your mind has forgotten what quiet feels like. It's because the world has taught you to be so focused on what's happening outside that you've forgotten to nurture what's happening inside. Silence is the only place where you can hear your soul speak. When you sit quietly, no music, no talking, no scrolling, your thoughts begin to rearrange themselves. Confusion turns into clarity, chaos turns into calm. You start to see what truly matters and what doesn't deserve your energy. It's like cleaning a messy room. Once you clear the noise, you can finally see what was always there. That's why silence isn't weakness. It's wisdom. The loudest person in the room may get attention, but the quiet one often holds understanding. In daily life, the world distracts you in subtle ways. Someone says something negative and suddenly your peace is gone. You see someone's success online and comparison poisons your joy. You start chasing what everyone else has, forgetting what you are meant to create. Silence helps you return to yourself. It reminds you that not every thought deserves attention, not every voice deserves response, not every path deserves your footsteps. Silence teaches you discipline, the discipline to guard your mind from chaos and your heart from noise. There's a reason some of the most successful people in the world spend time in silence. Thinkers, artists, leaders, they understand that silence isn't the absence of activity, it's the birthplace of ideas. When your mind is quiet, creativity flows naturally. Inspiration doesn't come from noise, it comes from stillness. Think about the last time you had a brilliant idea. It probably didn't come while you were talking, it came while you were still, maybe while showering, driving, walking alone. That's the power of silence. It connects you to your higher thoughts, the ones drowned out by daily distractions. The world wants you distracted because a distracted person is easy to control. When your attention is scattered, your energy is weak. But when your mind is focused and calm, you become powerful. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop being pulled by every emotion, every trend, every opinion. You start choosing with intention. Silence gives you that power, the power to see beyond noise, beyond fear, beyond illusion. Imagine this, a stormy ocean, waves crashing, winds howling. You can't see the reflection of the sky on its surface because it's too disturbed. But when the storm settles and the water becomes still, the reflection appears perfectly. That's your mind. When you're constantly disturbed by distractions, you can't see truth. But when you become still, clarity shines. You realize that peace isn't something you chase, it's something you uncover by quieting the storm inside. Silence is not just about not talking, it's about listening deeply, to your heart, to your intuition, to life itself. You start noticing details you missed before, the sound of your breath, the rhythm of your heartbeat, the softness of the wind, the strength of your thoughts. You start to realize how much beauty is hidden behind noise. In silence, the smallest things start to speak loudly, and those small things guide you toward big realizations. In relationships, silence teaches patience. Sometimes you don't need to react to every argument or prove your point in every conversation. Sometimes your silence speaks louder than your words ever could. It tells people, I have nothing to prove. It teaches emotional intelligence, the power to choose peace over pride. Because silence is not surrender, it's control, it's knowing when to speak and when to simply walk away with dignity. In the rush of life, silence also teaches presence. You start to slow down, you begin to actually taste your food, feel the sun on your skin, listen to the sound of laughter, and appreciate the miracle of existing. The world distracts you into thinking that happiness lies in the next big thing, a promotion, a relationship, an achievement. But silence reminds you that joy was always here, in this moment, within you. You just had to quiet down to notice it. Think of silence like a reset button. When your mind is overwhelmed, when decisions feel heavy, when emotions take over, step back, sit in silence, no phone, no talking, no thinking about tomorrow. Just breathe. Let the world spin without you for a moment. You'll see how fast things start to make sense. Answers that seemed impossible begin to appear effortlessly. That's not magic. That's the power of a focused mind. The world will always distract you with noise, opinions, expectations, and endless stimulation. But silence will always direct you back to your truth. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It tells you where to go, what to release, what to hold on to. It clears the fog of confusion and lights the path of peace. And the more you practice silence, the less you need validation. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop fighting and start flowing. Because once you've experienced the power of silence, the noise of the world no longer controls you. You control how deeply it touches your peace. Protect your energy because it's the most valuable currency you have. People think time is the most precious thing, but no, time without energy is useless. You can have 24 hours in a day, but if your energy is drained, your purpose dies quietly inside those hours. Every smile, every conversation, every thought you give away costs energy. So be wise about who you allow into your space, because not everyone deserves access to your peace. The truth is, the world is full of people who take, and few who give back. Protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's sacred work. It's how you stay whole in a world that feeds on distraction and emotional chaos. There comes a moment in life when you realize not everyone claps for you because they love you. Some people cheer because it benefits them, and the moment you pull your energy back, they call you distant. But distance doesn't mean arrogance. It means awareness. When you start protecting your energy, you stop pouring into empty cups. You stop trying to heal people who love being broken. You stop explaining your worth to those committed to misunderstanding you. You stop setting yourself on fire just to keep someone else warm. That's not love. That's self-destruction disguised as kindness. In daily life, you meet people who drain your spirit without even realizing it. They complain, gossip, criticize, and you absorb that energy because you care. But caring doesn't mean carrying. You can listen with compassion, but you don't have to inherit someone else's chaos. It's like walking in the rain. You can walk beside someone who's wet. You don't have to throw away your umbrella. Protecting your energy means recognizing when someone's storm is not your responsibility to fix. Think of your energy like a bank account. Every time you invest in something that uplifts you, gratitude, purpose, prayer, peace, your balance grows. But when you give attention to drama, negativity, and meaningless arguments, you're spending your peace on things that don't serve your future. And one day you wake up emotionally bankrupt, wondering why you feel exhausted, even when nothing's physically wrong. That's what happens when you don't guard your energy. You cannot pour from an empty soul. Protecting your energy also means learning the power of saying no, without guilt, without explanation. The most powerful people in the world are not the ones who say yes to everything. They are the ones who know what to walk away from. Not every invitation deserves a response. Not every opportunity deserves your effort. Not every person deserves a seat at your table. You can love people from afar and still protect your peace up close. You can care deeply and still walk away silently when something starts costing your sanity. In relationships, this truth becomes even more vital. Sometimes love isn't enough if it drains your spirit. You might love someone deeply, but if their presence constantly exhausts your energy, it's not growth, it's erosion. Protecting your energy means choosing peace over pressure. You shouldn't have to shrink yourself to make someone else feel comfortable. You shouldn't have to beg for respect or explain why your silence is sacred. When you protect your energy, you choose self-respect over people-pleasing, and that's a form of freedom. Most people never find. Every day the world demands your attention. News, social media, endless opinions, and if you're not careful, you start absorbing it all. Your energy becomes cluttered, your thoughts scattered, your focus shattered. Protecting your energy in today's world means disconnecting intentionally. It means turning off the phone, stepping outside, breathing deeply, and reclaiming your own space. Sometimes the best therapy is found in solitude, not in talking, but in listening to your own stillness. Think about this. You can walk into a room and instantly feel tension or peace without anyone speaking. That's energy. It's invisible, but it's real. Your spirit knows when something's off even before your mind understands it. So trust that feeling. When your energy feels heavy around someone, that's not paranoia, that's intuition. When you leave someone's company and feel drained instead of inspired, your soul is trying to tell you something. Protecting your energy means trusting those subtle signs and having the courage to walk away, even if it means walking alone. You also have to protect your energy from your own thoughts. Sometimes it's not the world that drains you, it's your own mind replaying old wounds. Overthinking, self-doubt, and fear are thieves that live rent-free in your head. Protecting your energy means controlling your inner dialogue. Replace "I'm not enough" with "I'm still growing." Replace "I can't do this" with "I'll find a way." Your energy flows where your focus goes. So if your focus is on fear, your energy will shrink. But if your focus is on faith, your energy expands. In daily life, there are small ways to protect your energy that change everything. Start your morning without checking your phone. Give your soul the first moment, not the world. Surround yourself with people who make your spirit lighter, not heavier. Spend time in nature. The earth has a way of absorbing what your heart can't carry. Meditate, write, pray. Not because it's trendy, but because your soul deserves quiet healing. Protecting your energy is an act of daily discipline, not occasional escape. People might call you distant when you start guarding your peace. They might say you've changed, But what they don't understand is that you simply stop giving access to people who misuse your kindness. You've realized that your energy is your home, and not everyone deserves to walk through the front door. You've stopped entertaining conversations that drain you and started watering your own garden instead. You've stopped chasing validation and started choosing vibration. High, clean, grounded energy that attracts what's meant for you effortlessly. Protect your energy from anything that doesn't feed your growth. Protect it from gossip, from comparison, from chaos disguised as love. Protect it from your own bad habits that drain your strength. Protect it from environments that dull your shine. Protect it because when your energy is right, your whole life aligns. The peace you feel inside becomes the power you project outside. And when you guard that energy fiercely, you stop existing for the world and start living for your soul. The art of self-love does not begin when someone validates you, praises you, or calls you beautiful. It begins in those silent hours when the world stops clapping for you, and all that's left is your reflection staring back at you. Solitude is not punishment. It's the sacred ground where you meet yourself truly, deeply, without filters or noise. It's in the quiet that you learn who you are when no one's watching, when there's no audience to perform for, no expectations to meet. That's where self-love is born, not in attention, but in awareness. Think about it. When was the last time you truly sat with yourself without reaching for your phone, without music in your ears, without trying to escape your own thoughts? Most people run from solitude because they fear what they might find. But solitude is not the absence of company, it's the presence of clarity. It's where you stop trying to be someone for others and start remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. Self-love begins when you stop chasing validation and start giving yourself what you've been begging others to offer. Patience, kindness, forgiveness. In everyday life, you see people endlessly scrolling through social media, comparing their journeys to the highlight reels of others. You see them seeking love from people who don't even love themselves. You see them burning out, trying to fit into boxes they were never meant to enter. But when you step into solitude, you break free from that trap. You realize your worth isn't defined by likes, comments, or who texts you back. It's defined by how you treat yourself when the world goes silent. Can you still speak kindly to your soul when nobody else is speaking to you? Can you sit in silence and still feel whole? That's the art of self-love. When you're alone, you begin to understand your emotional patterns. You start to see why you crave certain people, why you settle for less, why you keep giving chances to those who drain you. Solitude acts as a mirror. It doesn't lie, doesn't flatter, doesn't hide your wounds. It shows you where you need healing. Many people mistake loneliness for emptiness, but often it's just your soul asking for your attention. The world taught you to keep giving to others, but solitude teaches you to give back to yourself. It teaches you that peace is not found in another person's presence. It's cultivated in your own. Imagine a woman sitting by the window, sipping her morning tea. There's no chaos, no notifications, no noise, just her and her thoughts. In that quiet space, she begins to remember who she was before heartbreak, before rejection, before self-doubt crept in. That woman doesn't need a mirror to know her beauty. She feels it in the calmness of her spirit. That's what solitude does. It rebuilds your spirit brick by brick until your peace becomes your power. Think of a man who once depended on others to make him feel important. Every weekend was about parties, people, and proving himself. But one day life forces him into silence, maybe through loss, maybe through disappointment, and he finds himself alone. At first he resists it, feels uncomfortable, even broken, but over time he begins to see that solitude isn't empty, it's full of answers. It's where his creativity awakens, where his strength returns, where his voice becomes clear. That's when he realizes that being alone doesn't mean you have nothing. It means you have everything you need within. In solitude, you learn the gentle art of self-conversation. You start talking to your heart the way you would talk to a friend, asking it what it needs, comforting it when it hurts, encouraging it when it's afraid. That is self-love in motion. You learn that rest isn't laziness, boundaries aren't selfish, and saying no isn't cruelty, it's self-respect. You understand that you don't have to chase love. When you love yourself deeply, the right kind of love will naturally find you. You start to find beauty in ordinary things, the sound of rain, the rhythm of your breath, the taste of stillness. These moments become sacred. You no longer need the noise of approval because your peace has become your applause. The art of self-love teaches you to walk into rooms without needing to be noticed, to speak without needing to be heard, to shine without needing to be seen, because now your validation comes from within, not from the outside world. When you embrace solitude, you stop begging for attention and start commanding respect. You stop seeking love that costs your peace. You stop confusing comfort with connection. You learn that sometimes the greatest act of self-love is walking away from anything that forces you to shrink. Solitude teaches you how to expand, to rise, to glow from within. It gives you permission to love yourself loud enough that the silence feels like a symphony. Every great soul that ever changed the world, be it an artist, poet, thinker, or healer, spent time in solitude. They weren't afraid of their own company, they embraced it. Because solitude sharpens the mind, softens the heart, and strengthens the spirit. It's where inspiration is born, where dreams take shape, and where healing becomes holy. So, if you find yourself alone right now, don't rush to fill the silence. Sit with it, listen. Because in that stillness, your soul is whispering truths that the noise of the world kept you from hearing. That's where self-love begins. In the quiet embrace of your own presence, where you finally realize you were never waiting for someone else to love you. You were always waiting to love yourself. There comes a moment in every life when you realize that the crowd you once tried to please can no longer fill the silence inside you. That's when you understand. Solitude was never your weakness, it was your training ground. The world told you to fear being alone, but solitude has been the fire that forged your strength, the canvas that shaped your identity, the mirror that reflected your truth. When you stand alone and still rise, when you walk through your storms with grace and no applause, that's when you meet the most powerful version of yourself. Remember this. The people who fear being alone will always settle for half-hearted company, but those who master solitude become magnetic. They glow differently. They move with purpose. They love without desperation. They walk into rooms with a calm so deep others feel peace just by standing near them. That's the magic of someone who knows how to be alone. You no longer chase, you attract. You no longer beg, you command. You no longer fear silence, you become it. Strong, steady, sacred. Life isn't about how many people walk with you. It's about how deeply you can walk with yourself. When you learn to be enough in your own company, the world becomes optional. That's freedom. You'll begin to see that solitude isn't the absence of love, it's the birthplace of self-worth. Because when you stop waiting for someone to make you feel seen, you finally see yourself. When you stop craving external validation, you find inner peace. And when you stop needing the world's noise, you begin to hear the language of your soul. There's a saying, the lion doesn't turn when the small dogs bark. And the lion walks alone, not because it's lonely, but because it knows who it is. Be that lion. Stop explaining yourself to people who can't understand your silence. Stop watering dead plants. Stop showing up for those who never noticed your absence. Your peace is not negotiable. Protect it like your crown. Because once you learn to be at home within yourself, nobody can evict you from your own joy. The greatest transformations don't happen in the crowd, they happen in the quiet. The butterfly didn't become beautiful in the open. It transformed in the dark cocoon, unseen, untouched, alone. Your solitude is your cocoon. Don't rush out of it. Stay until your wings are ready. The world will see your beauty, but they'll never understand your process. And that's okay. You're not here to be understood. You're here to be real. If you ever feel like you're walking alone on your path, remember, you're not lost, you're being led. The universe hides you when it's preparing you. Isolation is not rejection, it's redirection. The silence you fear today will one day become the song of your strength. You look back and realize that solitude didn't break you, it built you. It taught you that peace is louder than approval, and that the company of your soul is the greatest luxury life can offer. You don't need to be surrounded to feel complete. You don't need to be loved by many to be valuable. Sometimes your solitude is the greatest declaration of your power, because when you can sit alone and still feel joy, when you can lose everything and still smile, when you can walk away away from noise and still feel full, that's when you've mastered the art of life. Never apologize for loving your own space. Never shrink your silence for someone else's comfort. Never confuse solitude with sadness. It's not loneliness, it's liberation. The world may not understand your peace, but it will respect your power. So walk tall, speak less, move with intention, love yourself fiercely, because solitude doesn't make you distant. It makes you divine. And when the world finally sees you rise from your silence, they'll understand that you were never alone. You were just becoming, because the truth is your power doesn't come from who stands beside you, but from who stands within you. And once you find that person, once you embrace that version of yourself, you'll never walk alone again.